I'm sorry. Okay, I guess I'll start again. So today we have with us Ms. Shalini Gupta, who is a chartered accountant with over 20 years of rich global experience across some of the world's most respected multinational organizations, which includes Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, Accenture, American Express, Genpact, and Price Waterhouse. Over the course of her distinguished corporate journey, she has held senior leadership roles, managed large-scale finance operations, led transformative process re-engineering initiatives, and delivered multi-million dollar business value through innovation, automation, and operational excellence. Building on this extensive experience, she is now the founder of Gupta Shalini and Associates, which is a next-generation CA and advisory firm driven by principles of innovations, integrity, and impact. Through GSA India, she brings together her global corporate insights and entrepreneurial mindset to offer integrate business and AI advisory and consulting services with deep expertise in GCC and GBS advisory. Her areas of specialization span process transformation, management consultancy, audit, taxation, risk and compliance, as well as emerging domains such as ECG and sustainable finance. She is also widely recognized for building and scaling high-performing teams and driving digital transformation across complex business environments. With that, Shalini, I would like you to begin.
Thank you, Gauri. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Thank you, Gauri, for the warm introduction. A very good afternoon to everyone. And of course, I can see Gauri on the video. Most of you, I think others are preferring to be on audio. It would be good if you can, switch on your videos. It's always good to see faces, right? And then, proceed accordingly. But yeah, just try if you can. Last week of December is generally the holiday season, so it's good to see that we are wrapping up the fag end of this year in investing some time in learning. So, on that note, Gauri, let me know. I mean, when do you want me to start the session?
You can start. It's there already.
Okay, okay. Are you able to see my screen? I shared something, the deck.
Mm. It's currently not visible.
Okay, let me share it again.
Okay. Yes, we can see it now.
You can see it? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. All right. So let's start the session by understanding money and finance first. So money is something that, right, we all love to earn, hear, see, feel, right? Money and finance. When we hear these words, it means they fall under the same world but play different roles. Money is what you see. Finance is how money behaves. So most people you would see that use these two words as if they are interchangeable. They say money when they actually mean finance, and finance when they really mean money. But they are not the same thing, and I'll explain how. They belong to the same world, as I mentioned, yes, but they play very different roles. And until we understand this difference, the money economics will always feel slightly confusing, stressful, and out of control. Imagine this. Let's take an example. Imagine you receive your first salary, not a stipend, not an internship allowance, your first real salary, right? That's what we are all hoping for. Uh, your phone vibrates, you see that, message from the bank. You open it and you see those three golden words. Salary is credited. For a brief moment, there is a quiet sense of achievement, a feeling of independence, a feeling that something has shifted. For many people, it's the first time in life that money feels to us truly personal. The number that you see sitting in your bank account, that is what is money. It is visible, it is tangible. Of course, you can take out from the bank and, use the notes. It is reassuring. You can see it, you can count it, you can check it again and again. And that's where most people believe that this is the important part. But here is what very few people are told, that the moment salary hits your account, money has already completed its role. From that moment onwards, something else quietly takes over. And that something is finance. Now, the question that we would have in our mind is, what do we do next? Do we immediately start spending? Do we decide how much to save? Do we think about how much to invest? Do you take on commitments assuming it will earn future income? From that moment, when choices begin, that's where finance starts. And because money itself does nothing, it does not move on its own, it does not decide our priorities, it does not think about tomorrow, it just sits there. It is finance which decides where our money will go, how fast it will flow, how long it will stay, how much risk it can take, and whether it grows or slowly leaks away. And that's why I say that money is static, finance is dynamic. So, money doesn't think, it doesn't plan, it doesn't warn you when we are about to make a mistake, but finance does. Let's take another example. Uh, let's take two people. One is you, and another is a fellow, say, from your class. Both of you are going to attain the same degree from the same institute. You will have same placements, same first salary. On paper, your lives are going to look identical. Why? Because same starting point, same freshers income, same opportunities. Now let's fast forward it to 5 years. One may feel relatively calm about money. The other, after 5 years, may feel constantly anxious. One may have choices to switch roles, to take more risks, to say no. The other may feel trapped by obligations, EMIs, loans. So here is the important part. The difference was not income. It was not luck. It was not intelligence. It was how money behaved in their lives. And that's where, right, money, both of you earning, very well, the same amount, still feel the struggle financially in different ways. And that's where, the decisions that we took to create those outcomes seeped in. So think of it that way, that, whenever you see money, ask the question, how much? So what? What if I earn more? What if I get a bonus? What if I, can raise funding? What if I take a loan? Always try and connect it to consequences, to decisions, to directions that we want it to flow in. And that, in my opinion, that single distinction will help you strategize this economics in the simplest and the easiest way. So just remember, right, when people say, I need more money, I want to earn more money, what that should really mean is I need to understand finance as well better so that I can utilize that money in a more stable and a growth and giving me a sense of freedom form. So let me leave you, with this closing thought. And I hope you would have now understood the difference between money and finance. Let's move on to the next topic. So as I mentioned, finance, right, is important. But again, finance is not a single stream. Think of finance as a river that splits into multiple channels, each flowing towards a different purpose, and each stream answers a different question. The first stream is personal finance. I also call it the finance of life decisions. Let's understand now what it really is. It's not about, again, becoming rich. It is about being in control. As I mentioned earlier, right? All those questions, how much should I spend? How much should I save? What risk can I handle? How much long-term security I should be building in? That's all what this area of income management, saving, investing, insurance, risk protection, retirement planning, all of these, fall in the personal finance stream. And again, remember the example, right? Two people, same salary, how one feels secure, how one feels stressed. So that's how, we need to think about our personal finance where we feel free and comfortable and not stressed. The second stream is corporate finance. What it means is that corporates, how companies, they make financial decisions. It answers questions like, should we invest in this project? Should we raise money? Or should we bootstrap? Should we allocate capital? How do we balance growth and risk? And the key areas to ponder upon would be capital budgeting, cost of capital, funding decisions. It could be debt, it could be equity, and then dividend and reinvestment decisions. So again, when we are talking about corporate finance, we need to then understand the difference between growth and collapse. It's basically an engine that is going to convert our strategy into outcomes. The third stream would be investment and capital markets, which I call it the finance of growth. Now, what that really means is how, do we focus on growing money by putting our money to work. It answers questions like, where should we invest our money? What is the risk versus return trade-off? How should portfolios be constructed? And then, we would have heard investment bankers, portfolio managers, fund managers, analysts, they all take care of this stream of finance. Because, see, money that sits with us is going to lose value over a period of time. And that's where it's important that we invest it well and manage it well. So investment finance is about letting money work harder than you do. And it's about the disciplined growth and not speculation. The fourth stream is banking and financial services, where I have extensively worked in different organizations. And I, again, call it the finance of flow. Why? Because it ensures that money flows smoothly through the economy. It answers questions like, how does money move safely? How is credit created? How are risks managed? And this includes the retail banking, commercial banking, NBFCs, fintech side of finance. And without banks, maybe think about it, without banks, money cannot circulate in the economy efficiently. And we don't notice, the importance of banking when it is working well. But everything collapses when they actually fail. And that's where it's important that, we understand this stream well. The next comes the public finance, which is called the finance of nations. It deals with how governments raise money, spend money, how should the taxes be structured, where should public money be spent, how should deficits be managed, and the key areas here include government expenditure, budgeting, fiscal policy, education, which determines, how government
Shalini, I think you have mute your audio.
is it better?
Yeah, now it's audible. Also, can you change the slide?
I can see the change slide here. Not
Okay.
sure. Mm, In my screen, it's showing up the next. Let me see. Does it change?
Yes, now it's fine.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So were you able to hear about public finance?
I guess that part we skipped because of the audio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I'll repeat it. So after the banking stream comes the public finance, which we call the finance of nations. Now, what it means is how governments raise money, how they spend money, how should the taxes be structured, where should public money be spent, and how the deficits are going to be managed. So when one talks about taxation, government expenditure, budgeting, fiscal policy, it means we are talking about the public finance. And how should the infrastructure be built? What should be the education decisions like defense? All of this depends on personal public finance. It determines, as I mentioned, the quality of our healthcare, opportunities, education, which in turn shape the long-term future of our nation. The next is the behavioral finance, which is the finance of human psychology. What it really means is that how our emotions and psychology influence our financial decisions. Because as we know, right, we humans are not always rational. We panic sometimes, right, when markets fall. We get overconfident when things are going well. And that's where, this stream answers the questions like why do people do panic selling? Why do bubbles form? Why do smart people make bad money decisions? That's where, the behavioral finance explains why knowing finance is not the same as applying it. The last and the most, I would say, interesting stream nowadays is the emerging streams of finance of the future that's coming in. So finance, as we know, right, it's evolving rapidly. It's not just about numbers anymore. It's also about technology, ethics, and intelligence. And that's where you might have heard that fintech and digital finance, AI in finance, sustainable ESG finance, or risk and compliance analytics. That's where, we say that finance is no longer just the spreadsheets, the Excels, the numbers. It's also about technology, ethics, and intelligent systems to be built in. So if you would see, right, with these different streams of finance, finance is actually not a single career. It is a sense, it is a, you can say, right, a set of lens through which decisions are made and it has a network of roads which can lead to different types of decisions. So it could be, some could be interested in personal finance, some could be interested in corporate, some in markets, derivative markets, countries, public finance. But all of these streams, they share one common purpose. And what is that? It is to help make better decisions with money. So don't, just choose finance or, money just because you like numbers. Choose it because you also like to understand the consequences of it. And once, you understand all of this game, then you don't just earn money, but you also direct it the way you want. So up to now, right, we have talked about money, finance, different streams through which it operates. Now let's talk about something that is quietly and permanently, in a way, changing every decision of our life. And that's where, we need to understand how, things traditionally worked. Earlier, when we talked about finance economics, we used to follow a very linear process. What was that? It was collect the data, slice and dice it, analyze it, make assumptions, take a decision, and everything was working reasonably well. But it had serious limitations. The analysis took time, data was incomplete, human bias was always present, and decisions were often reactive. And that's where, we used to spend a lot of time looking backwards at what already happened. However, if you look at it, with the onset of AI, which is artificial intelligence, it has changed the direction of finance. It has pushed finance from hindsight to foresight. So there, would be a question. Okay, so let us try and understand what it actually brings to the table. It brings, you know, three transformative capabilities. First, it can process huge volumes of data, far more than any human team. Second, it can detect patterns, correlations that we as humans can't easily see. And third, it learns continuously, improving as more data flows in. This shifts our understanding of, things, finance, from what? Mere reporting to predicting, from static models to adaptive models, from human judgment alone to human judgment plus intelligence. So, one may say you would be hearing, right? In your circles, in your organization, some of you, as I understand, right, are working professionals as well, that AI is going to replace everything. AI is going to replace finance professionals. It is going to change, everything. Well, yes, it is going to, change. It is changing, but it is changing the focus. It is not replacing people, but people who understand AI will replace those people who don't. So, over the last few months, I have interacted with several young students, entrepreneurs who are experimenting with AI tools. Yet they feel, sometimes confused, overwhelmed. There is a reason to it. And what is that? That, in this fast-paced, dynamic world, technology is also growing fast. Our minds are relatively growing a bit slow until we also intentionally train our minds to keep pace with the fast technology. And that's where, AI is here to accelerate our human potential and not to replace it. So that's where, we need to understand that there has to be clarity about the, powerful tools that are available right now. And before adapting AI fully, just ask yourself, what problem am I trying to solve? Is AI in this going to help me to make better decisions? What value it is going to create for my clients, for my stakeholders, for my customers, for my teams? And am I investing in capability or just running around through shortcuts? That's where, leadership seeps in. That's where, strategies, your thought process seeps in. That's where we say that, leadership is not knowing all the answers. It means asking better questions. And that's where each one of us needs to create that professional identity, which is not going to be just by the degree, right, that we earn. It is also going to be enhanced by the tools, by the high-end systems that we train ourselves on. It is going to be built by the consistency, by the accountability over excuses, by our constant discipline over just mere motivation, by our values integrity than just being trying to achieve visibility. So again, it depends on us, right? How do we want to leverage AI? What is the real competitive edge, right? And what is going to be the real benefit or advantage in the growth mindset? So let's also see, right? We discussed about what AI will do. Let's also try and decode what AI will not do. And this is also critical to understand. AI is not going to eliminate uncertainty. It is not going to replace human judgment. And it is also not going to remove our ethical responsibility towards things. AI can suggest, it can predict, it can optimize, but it cannot decide what should matter really to us. That responsibility is going to remain with us as humans. And the future of finance is not going to be just, finance professionals without tech awareness. It's going to be belonging to those who can connect both worlds. So what maybe, this means to you is don't just build AI models, try and understand the why behind it. Try and understand the rationale behind it. And also understand what questions to ask, how to efficiently prompt AI models to give what we want, how to interpret AI generated insights. And that's where, right, human judgment should always be there, and that should not just, override algorithms. So that is on AI, right? One of the, as I call it, the future of finance tool. Another is the GCC, right? I'm not sure how many of you would have heard about GCC, but this is the latest and the most buzzing, thing that's going in the industry. What is GCC? It is Global Capability Centers. Now, it is not a back office, right? It is not a call center. It is not a data entry unit. 2, 3 decades back, it all started, right? Like a data center or a data entry unit or a call center. But now, what it means over a period of time is a strategic extension of a global company, which is located in another country, say like India, and performing high value work and not just transactional data entry work. Originally, multinational companies had set up their centers in India to reduce cost for labor arbitrage. Now, today, if you look at it, Hyderabad, Vishakhapatnam, Kochi, Bangalore, of course, is already reached upper limit. These kind of setups in, tier B cities, all of them are now being set up to create more intelligence, where, these GCCs are going to handle global accounting, FP&A, which is financial planning and analysis, treasury, risk, compliance, analytics, and increasingly are supporting the decisions which the CEOs and CFOs of those multinational organizations take, sitting thousands of kilometers apart from India in their head offices. That's how, GCC is expanding rapidly. Now, we could think, okay, why India is, looked as maybe a first choice for these organizations. There are, three reasons to it. First is the talent. Our country produces finance professionals, engineers, data scientists, analysts at a scale which no other country is doing it. Second is process maturity, right? We Indians are able to understand structured processes, controls, compliance, and scales in a better way. And third is the technology comfort. Automation, analytics, AI, these are not now new words anymore. They are becoming part of life through our everyday tools. And that's where you would see global organizations, right? JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Amazon, Unilever, Walmart, and so many more are running critical finance operations now from India. So, what we need to understand from all of this is how do we shape ourselves better in a position to be able to take better decisions, be able to contribute not only to our lives but to our organizations and to our nation in a broader way. That's the thought, with which I would leave you all with. And maybe, as we wrap up, right, I'll just maybe connect as to what all we have covered. So we talked about money and finance, where we said, finance drives outcomes, finance stream flows, how AI transforms our finance decision making, and what is GCC about. So with that thought, I would, take a pause uh, and, open the forum for any thoughts that you want to share or anything that you have in your minds. Over to you, Gauri.
I'll be checking the doubt section. Just as you mentioned, how important it is to be, to know about finance. As a college student, what resources you think are the best for getting oneself educated about it?
Hmm. So again, see, it depends, first of all, the kind of knowledge that you are gathering in terms of the stream that you have chosen, your education. That is first. The second is how you are training yourself for the outside world through knowing what are the tools available. And when I talk about tools, it could be, say, for example, there are so many automation tools right now in the market, say Blackline, right? What talks about reconciliation tools, what talks about invoice management, vendor payment tools. If you have interest towards the operation side, then you should be using these resources to hone your skills. If you want to go towards the reporting side, the FP&A side, then you need to see, what are the tools that are available in that, stream. That's how. And third, be aware of your surroundings. Read through, newspapers. Today it's so easy, right? Through, news, online, mediums, channels, magazines, all of that, we can see how our, outside world is shaping up and what it is offering to us versus what we can offer it back to them. Use a combination of these resources and tools, and that's how take it forward.
That was a very helpful answer. We have another question that can you tell what AI tool a finance student should learn about or some helpful AI tools?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So see again, it depends on your area of interest, as I mentioned, right? If you want to go into operations excellence, then the tools like Blackline, right? P2P tools, R2R tools. Every organization has some of them as their in-house tools, which may be, called as XYZ names. But, it depends on the organization that you land up in. Generally, what you should be focusing, if you are still not with any organization, if you are still studying and want to kind of just know something, then as I mentioned, Blackline is one tool which is available. Then there is a nimble TechPanion tool which is there. Then we have BlackRock, right? These kind of tools, if you scan through the internet or Chat GPT or Perplexity, you would see that some of them are freely available, some of them are not. Then you would need to see how to subscribe and take it forward.
Thank you
Or
so
you
much,
can
Shalini.
see on the reporting side, you can go in for Workiva, you can go in for Edgar. There is a star tool, these kind of tools. Workiva is the latest. I would say it's very much, in getting popular in the financial reporting domain. So that's something that you can look for.
That was really helpful. Another question we have is someone is asking you to recommend some books or free YouTube channel or maybe some another resources for consultancy in finance too.
Okay. See, in terms of books, I generally, I'm not an avid reader, but yes, there are few books which are available on content that you want to excel in, plus the leadership, right, skills that you want to excel in. And it could be GCC related. There is a book, if you scan through Amazon, then there are just generally what I read: Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Elon Musk. Then there is if you go through Indra Nui life, while you may feel that it is an autobiography of her, but if you actually read the book, you would notice how you need to think through how leadership, at a strategic level, at a tactical level, at an operation level, how that is something that you can maybe develop yourself upon. So take a combination of subject matter expertise book plus a leadership related skill honing books, and make yourself comfortable in those skills. But as I mentioned, while yes, books are a good medium, but a lot of it also comes through experience and practice when you are working on the job.
That was also really insightful. I think that is the end of the question from the people here.
Maybe just one thing I would also, suggest, given, it's a mixed group, right, of students and working professionals, leverage talking more face to face with people around you. I know we are in a virtual world, all of us, right, keep looking at different social media things and all, but try and network through personal contacts, right, face to face, meeting them, learning from their insights, keeping face to face discussions. So build relationships with people around you and network around, of course, in a judicious way, not just, kind of barging in or something. But yeah, but do take out time to build relationships, build networks. That's going to help you in the long run.
Shalini, I had a personal question. I was looking upon about GSA, so I really wanted to know what was the motivation behind GSA.
Interesting, interesting. So as you would see, right, I am a qualified, right, chartered accountant. I qualified around 2002, and for the last 20 years, I have always worked with the top leading corporates. However, as a chartered accountant, I always had this small, you can say, thing in my mind that why not sometimes do something of your own, right? Maybe at the start of the career, my choice was to be associated with the industry, with the corporates. Now, having done it for over 2 decades, I wanted to now pursue something that I had always wanted to. And that's where I took that hard decision, right? At this stage of my career and life where I was all settled, uh, to maybe, try something new and get into building something of your own. And that's how I started GSA. I just started it about like 3 months back. It's going to be again, as I mentioned, a long journey, but that's where you need to be disciplined, consistent, and focused to move towards a goal that you want to pursue beyond your comfort zone.
That was very motivating as well for me. I think that is the end of questions from our side.
All right. So yeah, thanks everyone for this wonderful
Thank you so
opportunity.
much.
Ma'am,
Thanks to the club. Yeah,
yeah, ma'am, I have a question. Can I ask?
yeah, sure. Is that
Yeah, you
Sumit
go
that
on.
I can, yeah,
Yes,
see
ma'am.
on the screen? Yeah. Yeah, go on, Sumit.
Ma'am, I'm a first year undergrad student at IIM Bangalore. I'm aiming career in finance, so I'm analyzing the trade-off between corporate finance and strategy, like your role in Annexure and PwC, and investment banking operation and compliance, you do in Bank of America, as you mentioned. In the
Hmm.
early career of a global capability center, that is GCC, which path offers a faster trajectory towards a global advisory role like yours? And what thinking muscle should I build now to ready for either?
Okay, good question. So, Sumit, again, it depends on person to person, right? Now, I can explain from my experience how I, transitioned through this trajectory. Because I was a chartered accountant, right? I had the basics of accounting, these kind of things already studied. I already studied in my curriculum. And that's where, I did not start from operations. I started because I knew the basic background of what an invoice looks like, what basic accounts look like, how the journal entries shaped up, what is financial management, what is investment management. That's a part of our curriculum. And that's where I started from audit, right? My first journey was with Pricewaterhouse. I started from auditing thinking, I've been with CA institutes doing my articleship. So maybe that is a natural flow that is going to flow in my journey. But when I worked in Pricewaterhouse or other CA firms through articleship, I realized over a period of time, maybe statutory audit or this is something that's not going to be my cup of tea for the long-term vision and goals that I had, for my career. And that's where, as I mentioned, right, I moved from the big four CA firms. At that point in time, it was big five. PW was one of them. With the collapse of Arthur Anderson, now what you hear is Big Four. I moved on to G. And again, that was, uh, leaving the comfort zone with what I had done for the 5 years in my articleship and that CA firm. I started in the financial reporting thing because I knew the financial accounting thing. And SEC reporting at that point in time was something that people were not aware of, that was very complex, critical. And that's how I picked up that piece, luckily, you can say fortunately, again, reading through, I used to kind of, read through materials, what is going on in the industry, what is going on in the market. And that's how I thought, financial statements of a US MNC is something. At that point in time, it was not done by many. That's how I picked up, that domain, and then started my journey through it. Over a period of time from reporting, I moved to operations management as well, because then you are now on the other side of the table, right? Because I wanted to learn the end-to-end flow. So right from where the invoice, the purchase order that starts till the end point of publishing a balance sheet. I have changed roles, over the last 2 decades in different organizations, and tried to learn each and every aspect of that finance. So to answer your question, I know, long answer, but to answer your question, it depends on how you see yourself. What is your vision, say, at the end of, 10 years, 5 years, how you want to see yourself doing something that you like. Of course, over a period of time, we all, different phases of life, we change our games, but start with what you like the most, where your education and your interest area kind of, integrate to pick up that role. And then eventually build on that role to do more, right? Again, taking the same example, digital transformations, right? Alteryx, Tableau, if you've heard of these tools, they were new at least 7, 8 years back. But, when RPA, if you would have heard, robots, right? Process automations, nobody knew it. But then, in my journey, again, that was something that I worked for the first time in the organization, in their first projects, and learned through it. So my suggestion to you would be, again, look what you want and be open to learning. Never feel that, oh, how am I going to, proceed forward? I don't know anything. That's where do some homework, some background work of your own, and then try and integrate it with the workplace that you enter into.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much for your perspective. Like so much.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else have any questions? You can put it on the chat. You can drop it in the chat. I think uh, I think they have reached the end of. Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't hear. Was that for me?
Um, I don't think so. That
Sorry, are you
was. I
saying
think that
something?
was a glitch.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
that was a glitch from someone's side.
All right. So if maybe, there are no further questions, do you want to
Just a second.
wrap up?
Yes. There is one more question. Just a second.
Yeah, sure.
She's saying that can you give us some tips on how we, as an early career professional, can learn about it? Just a second. She's asking about your experience in
ESG?
ESG. Yeah.
ESG. Okay. Very, very, I think, a very insightful question. ESG again is one stream. ESG means environmental social governance, right? Now, that is one stream that in the last 2, 3 years, we only heard about it. I got an opportunity to, work something around it. Again, it's a vast stream, but it's definitely going to pick up in the next 5 to 10 years, right? If you guys have interest in reporting things related to your organizations which deal with net zero emissions, carbon emissions, right? How can we, build around an ecosystem while working through what we are working in, which could be better for the organization, which could be better for the environment. If you have interest in those areas, then this is one field I would suggest take trainings on, learn more about it. There are now a lot of things available on the internet as well. When I started, it was just a word, and ESG, we used to think was more of CSR activities, corporate social responsibility, right? Event management and all. But now, over a period of time, this has come out as a separate stream in financial reporting. ESG reporting, you would have heard if you scan through the annual reports of some of the top organizations. There is a section which actually discloses about every organization how much net zero emissions, as I talked about, carbon emissions, carbon saves, carbon footprints, these kind of data, how what they are doing to make the environment better. And in the MD&A section, which is the management discussion and analysis section in the annual report to begin with, one section you would read it there. Then there are now schedules and reports that are there on the footnotes of the balance sheets of all big organizations. So what you can do as part of your learning is go through, pick up any one, big organization's ESG report. There are separate ESG reports plus an annual report extracts as well. Read through it where they explain in detail what it means to them. And from there, pick on more things to learn on the internet. That's how, I would suggest if you want your career in that field to shape up. But it's a new, unexplored field, and there are high chances that very few people are going to have domain knowledge about it. So a good thing to know more about. Did
Anyone
that help,
else?
Moksha? Okay.
There is no more questions for now, at least.
All
I
right.
guess we don't.
Yeah, go on, Gauri.
I guess we should wait for like 1 minute if they're dropping some other questions.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. I guess that is it.
All right. And thank you so much, as I mentioned, right, for this session. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach me, at my email ID, which is shalini@gsa-india.com. And I would be happy to help you in whatever way I can. And I wish you all a very happy new year in advance and wish you all the best for your future career journeys.
Thank you so much, Shalini. Thank you so much. That was really amazing.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.